I'm Nikki, and this is 6 for 60, a show where I tell you 6 things I love about Star Trek in honor of the 60th anniversary of the franchise. Welcome to episode 27. And real quick tonight, I would like to talk to you about my 6 ideas for new Star Trek shows. So a short while ago, I had a tiny little meltdown because there's no new Star Trek in production right now. And there's talk that there might not be any more new Star Trek TV shows or movies. And so I had some ideas about how we could deal with it. But in the meantime, and I've had these ideas, before, I thought about if we were going to have new shows, what new shows would be fun to have. Now, some of my fun ideas, of course, have been addressed by others. So one of my original ideas was Star Trek Medical. And it was really funny because Lower Decks did it. They had a wonderful episode where Boimler is phasing and doing all sorts of fun things, and he gets picked up by a space ambulance and he's on his way to a Federation planet where they treat people who are suffering from various illnesses and diseases and accidents, and it's really hilarious. And again, so if you haven't watched Lower Decks, give it a try. So it was really funny. But anyway, I had a couple of ideas. And I do know that there are rumors of talks that if there is new Star Trek, they're going to use material from all of the amazing, wonderful book series that are out there. And they're actually going to use real Star Trek writers to create it. But you know what? If we don't get any of that, if you're sitting at home and you're thinking, maybe I would like to make a YouTube Star Trek show, here are some wonderful ideas. I think they're wonderful ideas. So, number 1, Star Trek Diplomacy. So, one of my favorite TOS episodes is Taste of Armageddon, which was season 1, I believe. Yep, episode 23, where Ambassador Fox, and I think I actually just talked about him like last week or the week before, causes a huge mess. And he gets almost the entire crew killed, or at least they're dead due to the war going on between these two planets. And they're supposed to come down to the planet and report to disintegrators and kill themselves. So I thought that was just a wonderful place to start because the ambassador thought that he knew more than a starship captain, and they ended up in this huge mess. And to me, that just opens up just a wonderful array of possibilities for future encounters in shows. It would be great because you get new aliens and new cultures. You get the physical challenges with the new environments on the new planets. You'd have new technology, possibly. You get politics and intrigue. And you get wars and peace and skirmishes and just everything. It's just a beautiful mix of exciting shows that you would have, because you'd have drama and intrigue and just everything from these various diplomatic missions that you could have, a core team of diplomats to go out. That would be like your bridge crew that you would see all the time. And then you could have minor diplomats doing things. You'd have diplomats in training. It's just so much. And then you get starships involved in there, because not only is there travel, but the diplomats would have to go and talk to the various captains and crews and all who were doing first contact or second contact. And it's just a whole host of wonderful things that could happen with a Star Trek diplomacy show. So number 2 is Star Trek Law and Order. So again, if you think about TOS season 1, episode 20, court martial where Kirk is accused of killing a crewman, Finney. And it is just wonderful. You've got all the drama of the accusations, and then the drama of the trial. It's really great. I love the little eccentric lawyer that Kirk had. But one of my favorite parts of that show is when Kirk walks into a bar on the space station, and there's some fellow captains, Starfleet officers, and they've already decided that Kirk is guilty. So, they're making smarmy comments and, just really giving him the stink eye. And I love that part of it because there's always so much, talk and build up about the integrity and faith that Starfleet officers have, not only in the institution of Starfleet, but in every one of their officers. Every crewman, they're supposed to be above reproach and at a certain level, and yet with no evidence, nothing has been examined to this point, really, certainly things shouldn't be made public. These folks have already decided that Kirk is guilty. So whether it's because they believe in the fail-safes of their ships, or they possibly, the gossip mill has been running and they knew about, their run-in when they were lower deckers, essentially, working together. Maybe somebody has let slip already that there are discrepancies between what Kirk said and what the record tapes show. Who knows? But just the fun you could have with a, Law and Order type of show, because we know crimes are committed, even not just in TOS, but, Rolaren, they had to get her out of prison in TNG, and Tom Paris came out of prison in Voyager, and yeah, of course, Discovery, Michael spent, time in prison. There's just, we know folks go to jail. Even in the fabulous future of the Federation. So we could have a lot of fun with this type of show. And again, you could, still have alien cultures and all, because, hey, you could have a Wesley episode like in TNG where, the clown steps on some flowers. And rather than violating the Prime Directive and doing all sorts of things, we seek to address it through through their court system. I know it wouldn't have worked in that TNG episode justice, because they only had one, essentially one crime, which was breaking any rule, and the penalty was death. So, you're not having a trial over that. But you know what I'm saying. It would be fun because you could have, Starfleet judicial personnel traveling to other planets to defend Federation citizens and crew members and all, if they broke laws on other planets and other civilizations. So it's a possibility. I think it could be fun. So number 3 on my list is Star Trek Stranded. So this, just due to the nature of it, would have to be a limited run. Like, you go in knowing, like they did with Picard, hey, it's only going to be 4 seasons and that's all we're going to do. So it would have a defined beginning and end. So in my mind, you get a nice size ship, maybe something like the Defiant. So you have some people, but not too many people. And they think they're just physically lost. We could lose them in through a wormhole, through some alien intervention, through some testing of new technology that flings them off somewhere. into the far unknown. It would be really, cool. We could strand them on a planet for periods of time as they have difficulty with the engines, and there's just a lot around it. And they would, of course, have to face challenges with new atmospheres and uh, space storms. There's always some ion radiation floating around waiting to do something horrible to our ship systems and engines. um I think we could have a lot of fun with Star Trek Stranded. And just, to keep things interesting, when we hit the third season, we find out not only are they lost in space, they're lost in time. Dun dun dun. And now they've got to try and figure out how they're going to, survive, and not impact the future of everything that they know. So I think you could have a lot of fun with this as well. It would be reminiscent of Voyager, where they're out there, they've got to make choices between upholding Federation ideals and surviving. And I just think we could have a lot of fun with Star Trek Stranded. And unlike Voyager, they wouldn't have any communication with the Federation at all. Maybe until we hit the third season when they find out that they're lost in time, or not at all. So I think it would be fun. Okay. Number 4, Star Trek Federation Citizen. So I know that kind of sounds boring, but think about it. It's just a regular person who's maybe a traveling salesman. And then we would get to meet not only new alien cultures, but existing cultures, but at a lower level. So we would get to see, everyday Romulan life, everyday Andorian life. And it would just be a way to explore the cultures of the alien races more deeply, outside of that military view you get from the Federation interacting with other militaries. So I just think it would be interesting way to really dive into the cultures that you get in the books, but you don't really get from any of the TV shows, and definitely outside of that military perspective. So I'm not sure how long we could make this one last either. It would, probably potentially be a limited run show, like Stranded as well. Just a couple of seasons, just see where you're going with it. But I think we could make it fun if we tried. And number 5, do not laugh, because some of y'all would watch it, even though you would pretend that you weren't watching it. Just like with Lower Decks. Star Trek Federation Wives. Because I bet you some of y'all are watching Housewives of wherever right now and enjoying the heck out of it. So Federation Wives could be maybe like a spinoff from Star Trek Diplomacy. So these would be the wives of the diplomats, and they're jockeying for position and trying to trade secrets. Maybe some of them are actually spying, you know, for their spouses, or and I guess really that should be Federation spouses, not wives. Okay. I'm old, forgive me, please. So, we could do all sorts of fun things with this, because you could really bring like the different cultures into it. We could have they'd be visiting restaurants, so you get the food, and again, you get more into the cultures of the different Federation member races and new races that we're encountering as the spouses go with their spouses to diplomatic parties and other engagements. and travel. I think it's really fun and cool. And, maybe you could even work Section 31 in there, because wouldn't that make sense for Section 31 to utilize diplomatic spouses to go and gather information, to send messages, and do all sorts of fun spycrafty things? Um, I think it would be awesome, uh, and fun. So, and we could do fashion, because again, one of my first loves was TOS and the amazing fashions that they did. So we could be just really wildly creative, and um, I'm not going to say be stuck with uniforms, but just the uniforms wouldn't be the full focus all the time. It would be amazing to see the different creative fashion they would come up with for a show like this. It would be really cool. And I know half people, wouldn't like it, wouldn't watch it, because there wouldn't be space battles and, big tough military folks. But we could make it fun. We could really make it a lot of fun, I think. Um, and who says you couldn't have a battle here and there? I just think it would be awesome. Okay. And no, I have not been drinking. Uh, Number 6 on my list is Star Trek Federation Red. And if you're familiar with the Red movies, it's Retired Extremely Dangerous. So wouldn't it be fun, a fun way to make sure that we get to see again all of our favorite Star Trek stars from other franchises, not franchises, but from other, shows. So, well, I do believe, I don't know who we get really from TOS other than William Shatner. I don't know that anybody else is in good enough health um, really to do too much. But we've got almost all of TNG and Voyager crews. We've got the Discovery folks. We could just, well, everybody from Discovery. Well, depending on when you set it, we could just have it would be red, maybe TOS, and red TNG, and red, Voyager, or however they wanted to design it. It doesn't have to be set just in one time period. Um, or we'll just have them, do special appearances. And maybe the main crew or the main focus characters are just new characters. But I just think it would be wonderful, because all of these captains, they know secrets. My Lord, how many secrets did Kirk have? From just all of the intrigue and finding new technology that they had to hide from people, and think about like Janeway and the Omega protocol, that captains have to abide by. There are so many secrets out there, and these folks are just running around with it. You probably think there's got to be a group of folks who are watching over to make sure that, the leadership from the Federation, who knows or has access to these secrets, that they're not out there doing something shady with it, because, people are going to people. So I think it would be great if there was, something that addressed that when a captain or some other Federation officer tried to run off with some secrets and do, sell them to somebody else, or use it for personal gain, or, take up a political crusade with this knowledge, and somebody's got to take them down. Or, again, pull out Section 31. And Section 31 is using these retired folks and utilizing the knowledge and the skills that they have to continue espionage for the Federation. I just think we could have a lot of fun with this. We could have a lot of fun with some of our retired Star Trek folks. So, and again, let me know if you think the ideas are crazy or that they sound fun to you, something you would like to watch or heck, even make yourself. Let me know in the comments. And I didn't say it because it's not my original idea. I am just, for it. So our bonus for this evening is, say it with me because you all know that it's coming, Captain Worf, Admiral Worf, Section 31 Worf. However, we can get a Worf focused show. I'm for it. I'm all for it. Please don't wait till Michael Dorn is too old. Please, let's get some more Worf on the screen while we have time, folks. Okay? So, that's just for me. And also, I'd love to see Sherrock Lofton come back. I'd love it if they could find a way to work in Christopher Judge. I think he would be an amazing Klingon. So we've got a lot to work with. And I think we could have a lot more Star Trek in the future. But until we do, let's do our part to make the world a better place and get us a little closer to our beautiful Star Trek future. Live long and prosper, dear friends.